What's going on, everyone? Alex Da Silva, Ruby Rose, Happy as Larry Group. I hope you're well. Welcome to your daily dose of happiness. How are you? Say hi, everyone. Yay! Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And as always, be great, be fantastic, be absolutely phenomenal today. And what do we want to talk about today? I want to talk about mistakes. I went to an event yesterday by Talent.io and the Mistakes Club, and it was absolutely amazing. Didn't really know what to expect, but when they approached me and said to me, do you want to talk about mistakes that you've made in business and throughout your career? I put my hand up and I said, you're damn right I do. I'm well up for this. And I was petrified because I had to really put myself out there and talk about something in particular, which I have never discussed before, did I? No, I'd never talked about it before. And it was really interesting because as I'm going through this journey now and I'm learning more about business and I'm learning more about myself and I'm growing as an individual, it's really, really interesting to be able to stand in front of, there must have been about 80 people there, to be able to stand in front of all of them and to talk about, my mistakes openly, honestly, vulnerably. And the mistake, and I'll share this with you, was a few years ago, I won a huge project for a company I was working for, and it was delivering this global recruitment project, for this client of ours. And it was really interesting because for me, that was such a huge thing. I've always been very ambitious. I've always been, just very driven and really wanted to do well. Throughout the project, everything was going well. The first phase went amazing. We had this great team that we were building, and it started to get bigger and bigger. The project got bigger and bigger. We started, a small few countries, and all of a sudden we were going, across 10 countries globally. And so this thing was getting very big very quickly because of the success and the hard work and the values and the processes and strategies that I was putting into this work. And what had happened is I went from being somebody that wants to lead, and I wanted to become a leader, and eventually manage people. That was a huge opportunity for me. But what I did is I allowed my ego to take over. I started to get very egotistical. I started to take my foot off the pedal, and I started to let go of my values, and the things that make me really, really good at my job. And what happened is I took the foot off the gas and I started to slack. And one of the biggest mistakes, anybody that has worked in recruitment, everybody knows, one of the things you never do is you never send a candidate to a hiring manager without speaking to them first. And that for me must have been it was probably the lowest point of my career, and for me, I talked about it yesterday and I talk about it now, and it just makes me cringe because it's something that I have never repeated it since. And I was just, when I look back at it, I was so gobsmacked with my behavior and how I was and how I conducted myself. I got to the point where I just didn't care. Sure, there were a few issues throughout the project. Sure, there were a few things that I didn't like, but I should have stuck to my gun. I should have stood, to my values and my hard work and the things that I do very well, and I should have just carried on. But what happened is I just allowed my ego to carry on and to take over. Bless you. So what I did is I carried on doing the same thing. I would send, a number of candidates, yes, without speaking to them. And what happened, of course, it all backfired. And eventually I lost my job. And that was a huge lesson for me. Huge lesson for me. And it really, really humbled me because moving forward from that, one of the biggest things that I've learned is never cut corners. Never cut corners. We all have a baseline. Everything that we do, whether it's recruitment, whether it's coaching, any work that you do, we all have a baseline that we work towards, and these are the core things that will make you great, fantastic, phenomenal at what you do. As soon as you start cutting corners, then you start going round and round in circles, and then you start to then cheat a little bit more. You think you can then cut corners, you know, in little things like that, you know, going and speaking to a candidate on the phone instead of an email. And, you know, then the values go out of the window, then there are bigger problems, and then all of a sudden I get bitten by Ruby. And, you know, it's tough, you know. It was a tough pill to swallow, but it was very humbling for me. I deserved that. I grew from that and I learned. So now going into business, going into what we're doing now, you know, with Happy as Larry, it's, I take so much pride and so much passion for what I do. You know, I'm so passionate about making sure that I'm delivering the absolute best. So when I stood up and I spoke, I actually wanted to do a completely different talk. I wanted to lie, and I wanted to be honest, I wanted to run away. But every time I tried to think about a different talk, my mind went blank. So I centered myself, as I usually do. I connect and I say, okay, what should I do here? Guide me through this. Let me know how I can deliver this talk, you know, to the best of my abilities. And I just heard this little voice say, just open your mouth. And I took a massive deep breath and I opened my mouth and I delivered exactly that. And the lesson here is it doesn't matter what mistakes you make in life. Put your hands up and say, I did it. Humble yourself. Don't allow your ego to take over, because that's when things can really, really go wrong. I can give you so many mistakes that I've made in my personal life as well. But one of the things that I've learned and continue to learn is to stay humble, is to keep my feet flat on the ground and use my confidence, my self-esteem, my belief, my values, the things that I love, and really use that to drive me, to push me. Because as soon as I go back to my ego, as soon as I allow that to run the show, that's when I fail. You know, and I failed big time. You know, I had to really learn from that lesson. And thankfully I did. So look, if you're struggling, if you've made mistakes, whether it's work, personal, relationships, make mistakes, make them big so you can learn from them. Don't bury your head in the sand and pretend that it's okay and blame everybody else, which is what I did. You know, when I was brought into my head office and they had to let me go, and I blamed it on them and I was really annoyed. But fact of the matter is, it was completely my fault. And today I put my hands up and I will speak about it openly and honestly, because I never want to cheat myself, you know, out of being able to be good and great at what I do. Never. Exactly. So, guys, thank you so much as always for listening and being part of this journey. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And it's Friday. The weekend is here. So enjoy it. Relax. Go and do something. Go crazy. But look, live your life. Make those mistakes. But be humble enough to be able to look at them and learn from that. Because that's what makes you a bigger person. That's where you grow. So listen, I'll speak to you again very soon.